Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I go to Edgehill University. So today I'm going to be doing another video for my Let's Prep for Uni series, and I'm going to do like kind of a Q&A about like accommodation mainly. Yeah, I didn't put anything on my story for this because I had enough questions from like what people had messaged me, commented, like anything. I just like took questions from what they'd asked me and put them all into here. So I think there might be like 12, 13, something like that questions, because I couldn't fit them all on, but I just put like the main ones on. I'll try and do quite brief answers as well. What was your list of preferred accommodations? So I'm assuming that means like what we sent in to begin with when I applied for accommodation. So give me a sec, I shall get that up. Okay, so I've just spent 10 minutes looking at that and I can't find it. So I'm gonna give you a guess. I think it went Palatine, Chancellor's Court, Chancellor's South, Founders East, Founders West. Founders are the ones I'm confused on. The rest I'm definite, and it was definitely Founders. I just don't know which way around I put them. Which accommodation has all white rooms was the next question. So Palatine, as far as I know, is the only accommodation where every single room is like white and grey. Yeah, I think Chancellor's South, a lot of the rooms are the same. I'm not convinced that every single room has been done up, but I think a lot of them have been. If it is done up, I could be completely wrong about Chancellor's South because I've never been in it, but I know that some of the rooms are like all white like this, possibly even whiter, like it might have a white chair I think, but I'm not sure. But it could be that only some of their rooms have been like done like that. Not entirely sure. And even then, I've never been inside, so it could have a colour that I've not like clocked. I think it's just Palatine where every single room is white, but I could be wrong. Do the rooms have mirrors? When I was in Chancellor's Court, my room didn't have a mirror, but here it does, so it varies. So the best thing you can do for that is like look for room tours and stuff online for the accommodation that you're going to or that you would like to apply to or whatever, or maybe email accommodation. I don't know, but I can tell you for definite that Palatine does have a mirror and Chancellor's Court does not have a mirror. You can get full length mirrors for like a tenner that you hang over your door, so it was fine. Are all the beds the same sizes? Yes, the beds are pretty much all the same size, but I think some of the adapted rooms, or like accessible rooms, whatever you want to call them, I think some of them might be doubles, but that could be a complete myth, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I've heard of someone being put into a room when they didn't need that type of room because that was all the accommodation they had left and had a bigger bed, but again, could be a myth. So yeah. But if you're not in one of those rooms, then all the beds are the same size, I'm almost certain. They're just single beds, all the mattresses look the same but feel very different. Like both of my mattresses that I've had have pretty much been the firmest ones you can get, but I also know someone in the room next to me in Chancellor's Court, like Danny, had the softest mattress of all time. But I mean, they're all comfy, I think. So, and if you didn't find it comfy, you can get a mattress topper, so yeah. How many fridges are in each kitchen? Okay, so for self-catered accommodation, I think there's usually 2 fridges with like, I think 4 shelves each, like 3 shelves and like the vegetable pull-out bit at the bottom, or meat pull-out bit, I don't know what it is. Yeah, and usually you are in clusters of 8, so everyone would have a shelf. It does say that you can have clusters of like 4 or 6 or something, I don't know, other numbers, but I've never actually heard of there being another number apart from in like completely different accommodation. But yeah, in the accommodation that I've been in, definitely there are 2 fridges per kitchen, 4 shelves essentially, and everyone gets 1 shelf. However, if you're in a catered flat, I think what Tay's kitchen is like is there's 1 bigger fridge, or it could be the same size, I don't know, but they don't need as much fridge space because they're catered, so there's only 1 and not everyone has their own shelf. I think that's the way that works. Oh, main halls is 6, 7 and 11. Those are the clusters, not 8. So the next question was, what's the kitchen storage like? So each kitchen has lockers, I think. Right, I'm just going to base this off what I've had because I can't vouch for others. So basically, this video is a definite for Chancellor's Court and Palatine, but I can't vouch for other accommodations, if you get what I mean, because I don't want to give people hope for something when it might not be there. So yeah, basically it's a definite for Chancellor's Court and Palatine, but for anywhere else, just take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. But yeah, so what I've experienced with kitchen storage is that I've had a locker, a big locker, like a big square one. In Palatine it has a shelf, so it's essentially like more storage because you have more area to put things. And then in Chancellor's Court, I don't think they did. Mine definitely didn't. But that's the locker, so you can put like tins in there or like spices, oil, whatever. Basically food, like cupboard food, you can put in there. You have another cupboard for like, you know how to open a cupboard. I didn't need to. Yeah, you have a cupboard for like pots, pans, dishes, plates, whatever, cutlery, I don't know. And then sometimes if you're lucky you have 2 cupboards. In Chancellor's Court I had this weird corner cupboard thing with like a spinny thing. I don't even know what that was, but that was cool. But yeah, there's a lot of storage, and if it's split out right, everyone has the right amount of storage. But some people, like I know Danny didn't have the right amount of storage and she never told anybody. So in the end I was like, just put your stuff on my little turny thing. Depending on how the kitchen is built, everyone should have at least 1 cupboard, their locked cupboard, so their locker thing, a shelf of the fridge, and well, you should have a drawer, and you could have another cupboard, I think. But I could be wrong. It could be like there's like a few cupboards left and like a few people get an extra on. It just kind of depends how your flat wants to divide it up. Like for example, here I didn't need a drawer. I had no use for a drawer because I had more storage in my locker here than I did in Chancellor's Court. So I didn't need a drawer, so I don't have one. Personally here I just have my locked cupboard, my normal cupboard, and a shelf in the fridge. So the next question was, are there freezers and how do you share them? So there's usually 2 freezers, again, just going from what I've seen, usually 2 freezers, and there's 4 drawers in each one. Yeah. Some drawers are bigger than others, so to be honest, it just kind of depends on who has the most freezer stuff. I go through freezer stuff like nobody's business because most vegetarian stuff is like you can freeze it. So I usually just lob my stuff in the freezer, but because I go through it at like a rate of knots, I don't mind having a slightly smaller storage space because it's going in and out all the time. It doesn't like bulk up. I just realised one of my nails has come off. Lockdown live. What are the new main halls like? I haven't been in the new main halls, but I have seen pictures from my friends who live there and it is magnificent. The bathrooms, oh my god. I will say it's a little bit smaller than it looks on the pictures, but like online on the accommodation site, but I think all of them are a little bit because I think they had to use like a wide angle thing on the camera. Like they're not lying to us, they just had to use a different lens to show you everything. But yeah, so it's a little bit smaller, but it's incredible. Like, I don't know, it's just so cozy and the bathroom is like beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say because I can't really tell you much more about it, but it's gorgeous. And also it has a washing machine in, like the kitchen has a washing machine. I have to trek, I don't have that luxury. Which accommodation is best for a smaller budget? Right, okay. Let me just look at the prices for a sec because there's one that I could say is better for a smaller budget. So from the cheaper accommodation, there are back halls, forest court, main halls catered. Is there anywhere else? Don't think there's anywhere else. Forest court, I think you can get some en-suites. Oh my god, I'm having to do so much research for this video. Yes, en-suite or shared bathroom options. If you can get an en-suite bathroom, then that would be great. If that's what you want, like that would be a good a good room option for a budget. But if you're not so bothered about en-suite bathrooms, then I would say probably main halls, because I'll tell you why. Tay's in there and he loves his room, he's absolutely fine with it. Plus he's catered. He doesn't have to go out and buy food and stuff like that all the time. He has to have a little bit of food, but not as much as I do. And then he doesn't even have to cook. He can just be like, oh, let's go get dinner. Like, I so wish I had that. And his room is so much cheaper than mine, and he has his food made for him, included in that price, and he can go and get Starbucks on his card. Like, what? So if I was on a budget, I'd definitely go for main halls, but it depends on how much of a budget you're on, because if I'm correct, so Forest Court for my year was 105. I think, I'm not going to check this because it's around this. Yeah, no, it is. Main halls catered was 112, including food, and back halls is 60. So it depends on how much of a budget you're on. If you're really on a budget, back halls would be best because that's 60. If you're kind of on a budget but not really, and you can afford around 100, then I'd say Forest Court was probably best because that's 75 to 105. I imagine that difference is the bathroom, but I could be wrong. Main halls is more on a budget than you think, because if you're in back halls or Forest Court, you still have to go and make yourself food and buy yourself food and stuff like that. So if you're in main halls though, a lot of your food is included in that price. So it's more of a budgeted thing than you think. Do most people cook ready meals? So not ready meals necessarily, but there are a lot of oven chips being thrown around. Not literally thrown around, but you know what I mean. Yeah, oven chips, onion rings, basically just stuff like that. There's a lot of it. Not necessarily ready meals, but there's a lot of freezer food. Yeah. Can you use fairy lights? So I use fairy lights, but mine are battery ones, and I think that's the rule. I think you're allowed to use them as long as they're not plug-in ones. So yeah, I'd maybe check with that, but I've been fine with battery ones, so yeah. Do you live with anyone older? I've lived with a few older people, mainly like 19 to 21. Yeah, and then you get a few that are like quite a few years older. But no, it doesn't feel like they're older because we're all like at different points in the year. Like I'm like right at the end of the year, so I was like one of the youngest, or the youngest, so I was like a year younger than the others. So everyone was at such different points and such different ages that it doesn't make a difference, so don't worry about that. Are there arguments within flats? Yes, there are. But just from the flats that I've been in, you can't put 8 people together and expect everyone to get along. That's just not reasonable at all. Like, that's never going to happen. There are always going to be 1 or 2 people that just don't get along. So yeah, there will most likely be arguments. You've got to be prepared for that. I just didn't like to get involved in them, so if you're like me, just try and stay out of them as much as possible. Final question, do you have to leave your door open or closed or anything? Technically you're not supposed to have them open because I think it's like a fire hazard, but some people do kind of like use a doorstop or something just to keep them open so everyone can like wander into each other's rooms. Personally, I've never had that like open door policy. Like, I've not been in a flat that does. I've been in a flat that has doors open a lot of the time, but sometimes we will all have them shut, or a few will be shut or whatever. And then in this flat we do pretty much all have them closed, but like when we want to socialise we'll be in the kitchen, if you know what I mean, or like we'll just have a few people in a room. So it's not like they don't have to be anything. You might discuss it with your flat, but they don't have to be open or closed or anything. It's just kind of what you prefer, and technically you're supposed to have it shut, but yeah. That was everything. So yeah, I hope this gave you guys a little bit of an insight into what it's like to be a student and living in uni accommodation. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also remember to go follow my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.
You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest.